Harriet the spy. She can't help but raise an eyebrow behind her cap as she beholds the withered old witch in front of her. Had the woman smiled at her with iron teeth, Harriet wouldn't have been surprised. "You wish to see me?" "I did. I've read your reports on the many organizations you've infiltrated to some level. You have done good work, slowly fading out of organizations that are of lesser concern and sticking close to the organizations that are obsessed with observing the other organizations and making sense of them. It's efficient that way. I've set myself up as a clerk for lack of a better definition in most of them. Why scour for information when others can bring it to you?" Harriet notes, and the old woman nods. "Sensible and practical. We've stumbled onto a bit of an opportunity, and I'd like your more insider knowledge on things," Madame Stepanova says, and Harriet nods. "Simply put, a great number of the idiots sent with me from Earth were political appointees. They're simply not ready for intelligence work, and they have their heads so far up their asses that they taste their meals twice. So, you're looking for either something to ram experience down their throats or an excuse to get rid of them. More the former than the latter, but I like the way you think," Madame Stepanova remarks with a slight smile. "What can you tell me about the Okra joint Jills?" "Thugs and gangbangers. They peddle light to moderately potent drugs to the locals and have gotten into fights with the local police a fair amount, but they're moderately corrupt and fairly inefficient on that spire. Of course, the drugs they push around them are effectively harmless to a human's digestive tract. They're at the most an odd flavor and not a threat even if you indulge in a huge amount." "How so?" "As part of my initiation into the group, they had me take a hit. I felt nothing and they gave it to me uncut. I then faked tripping and passing out, and that secured my place among them. I return once every other week to make sure that they're not up to anything really stupid and otherwise ignore them. All told, they're very petty and would likely be matched by a criminal gang from Earth." "Good. What's their structure like? Familial?" "Mostly. At the head is Jill Ikuto. She and her sisters Marie and Gina are the brains behind the gang, with a close friend, a Canador named Jill Cruelbite, serving as their muscle. Mari handles the finances and logistics. Gina is their main cook for the drugs, and Jill is the public face. They have about 20 hanger-ons, although the exact number fluctuates at any time. They've got about 2.5 guns per girl, and Gina is also skilled in the making of explosives. The typical gangsters that surround these girls are reckless, brash, and short-sighted. Thankfully not to the point of shooting people at random, but it's just a group of violent idiots that refuse to leverage their skills legally." "I see. How dangerous would you assess them to be?" "The two Jills are the biggest threats. Ikuto can organize her people and get them fighting fairly well, and Cruelbite is a problem in her own right. Even unarmed and naked Canador are living engines of destruction. Past those two, however, and I'd give Boy Scouts with squirt pistols fairly good odds. The gang is held together almost exclusively by Ikuto's leadership. The moment she's not around, they're a heartbeat away from infighting." "Good. Very good. We need a few easy jobs for our more idiot members. Some of them tried to give Canador women in power armor full-on orders. Not wise. Best thing to do is appeal to their vanity. Canador are very self-assured and prone to both boasting and underestimating those around them." "Well spotted. And yes," Madame Stepanova confirms, and then seems to visibly think for a mission. "What is your opinion of Agent Herbert Jameson?" "I don't like him. He's skilled enough, sure, and getting better all the time, but he's letting his physical age dictate his actions too much. He's in a teenage body, but the man is in his 30s last I checked. He should act like it. There's also the fact that he didn't even protest all that much when he was kidnapped, gang raped, and then turned into a teen. That's messed up, and he's acting like it was another day of the week and not something that should haunt him for years." "You think he might snap?" "I think he already did and is hiding it, either intentionally or not. There's no good way to take what happened to him, and yet He took it well anyways. It's disturbing. And if I told you that he has officially reported in otherwise sealed documents that he recalls nearly nothing of the events in question and has disassociated to the point that everything seems second or even third hand to his view, would your opinion change? Harriet cuts herself off and thinks deeply. That would explain a lot. I'll need some time to rethink. Good. Despite what anyone tells you, girl, it's not a weakness to change your mind on things. It's a weakness not to, Madame Stepanova states. We will be conducting a mission followed by a raid upon them soon. I'm interested in seeing what a power vacuum will do in that area. Also, we can blood some of the dumber ones. I'll start drawing the tattoos, ma'am. Drawing? If one of them gets clever and starts really feeling out the axiom, they might get past my disguise if I don't, Harriet says, and Madame Stepanova nods. I have a mission to plan out, it seems. Dismissed. Harriet had been among them for an hour, and already she couldn't wait for the shooting to start. The Okra joint Jills were prone to infighting for one very good reason. They were all insufferable bitches. Every last one of them was an oversized child enamored with the idea that they were some kind of invulnerable beast, and they were only a few minutes away from snapping and taking the spire for themselves. The drugs probably had a lot to do with that. So here she was with a plasma rifle shoved down the front of her skirt and just waiting to roast her thighs if things even go slightly wrong. At least it would be if she hadn't actually broken the link in the weapon. It could hum ominously but not fire, which was good because this model had a hair trigger at the best of times. In the distance, she can spot a tiny glimmer on the top of an awning, the gleam of a sniper scope. Herbert's in position, which is good because none of the idiots that Madame Stepanova had volunteered for this mission had been willing to be altered to look like a Tret, which is just stupid for an infiltrator. She and Herbert are both nearby to bail them out when this inevitably goes to shit. Who the hell's that Verity? I haven't seen them stupid old continuity twerps before. One of the girls says, indicated Sir Philip and Madame Stepanova in disguise, and Harriet shrugs. Who cares? They're continuity. They take themselves out before they can even do anything. Just a couple of suicidal kids that think they're being oh so righteous or whatever. Those two look like they're ready to fall down by themselves. Harriet lies hard. I suppose even those new girls are likely to roll over those old farts. Why would someone do that to themselves? I mean, really, everything hurts. You got no energy and there's no strength in your limbs or bounce to your ounce. I mean, look at her. She looks like she was thrown off the side of a spire even before she got old. The girl continues, and Harriet has to actively stop herself from scooching out of the line of fire in case Madame Stepanova somehow heard that from half a block away. Talking about the new girls, what the hell's up with them? Is it some new fad for girls to try and look like those flat human boards or something? Either that or it's a bunch of baby girls with, what's it called? A pit gland? Something like that. I don't care. So long as they can point a pistol the right way, then there's use for them, Jill Acuto says from nearby. Bunch of new recruits, old farts. Something's wrong, but what? Idiot newbies? They look like they're trying to pretend to be human or something. Harriet blurs the trail a bit more. It's a hell of a balancing act to cover up for someone else's stupidity while trying not to get busted yourself. Human. There's only like 5,000 of them, right? Jill asks, frowning in concentration. Think so. Why? And they're a bunch of super soldiers as best can be made in cruel space, aren't they? Jill continues, and Harriet can hear her mind grinding away. It would explain why they're obsessed with weapons and going around in groups. The girl next to Harriet says, "And those uniforms! Row!" Harriet distracts them both a bit, and Jill snorts. Some feely in the family. Somewhere. Harriet confirms the nonsense gladly. "Hoon Dan!" Someone shouts from the backyard where the basic hazing ritual is going on. It's all Harriet can do to not facepalm. She vaguely recognizes the Chinese insult, mixed egg, basically calling someone a bastard. Why would a Tret say 4-9 in Aracanis? Jill asks in surprise. In what? The girl next to Harriet thankfully asks, and Jill turns away from them both entirely. The language the spider peoples used to talk to each other before galactic trade was made. Jill answers offhand, and the girl is thankfully as much as an idiot as the one that Harriet is going to be strangling later and snorts out loud. What? You turning into some kind of educated girl now? Gonna slap on a lab coat and boil a language in a beaker? It's all Harriet can do to not whistle in appreciation of the sheer raving stupidity coming out from the gangster. The whole gang needs a few weeks with a posse of drill sergeants to put some brains, spine, and discipline into them. Now there's an idea. Shut up, Becky, Jill says as Harriet stands up. Where are you going, Verity? What the hell are they doing to those idiots that they're shouting numbers in another language? Harriet asks, and Jill seems lost in thought for a moment. It could have been Saramali battle shouts, or Jill begins to wonder out loud. She's stuck on the swearing, and that could be good or bad depending on. Her hidden device gives a slight pulse twice. Someone's bugging out. Why? It's just a bunch of gangbangers? Barring the Jills, you could fight your way out without much. There's a blast, and Cruelbite is slammed halfway out of the nearby window, dazed and clearly rocked but not truly hurt. Harriet pulls out her plasma pistol and forces the internal link back into place. The impromptu safety is off. There are several screams in the building. Ling panicked. Accidental discharges. Herbert's voice is a sibilant whisper in her ear. She looks back, and the glint of the rifle is gone. Herbert's on the move. Jill Ikuto is looking around, trying to find out what left her enforcer moaning in a dazed pain, half in and half out of a window. Jill Ikuto looks through the window, holding her plasma thrower sideways as she glances around. Verity is proving herself to have a good head on her shoulders for a moderately successful dealer. Although she's holding the weapon in two hands for some reason, like it's going to kick back like the explosion-based weapons of the humans. Suddenly it hits, and a powerful suspicion rolls over her. She turns quickly, but instead of Verity leveling her plasma gun at her, there's the two old people rushing around the confused-looking Becky with Verity nowhere in sight. What the? Sloppy, the older man says as he grabs her around the face, and there's a strange scent on his wrist that makes the world swim. The last thing she sees is the older woman doing something to Jill. Who was the idiot that used a grenade? Madame Stepanova demands after the quick flurry of violence was done with. Nearly a quarter of the gang had managed to shoot themselves in the thigh. The rest had been knocked out by either the recruits or Herbert. Mostly Herbert. There is no answer to the demand, and Madame Stepanova looks over the group. If I'm not given my answer freely, then I will get it out of you forcibly. There is no answer, and Madame Stepanova outright growls. Sir Philip then clears his throat. Mr. Jameson. Everyone but Harriet, Madame Stepanova, and Sir Philip are then knocked out by Herbert. Thank you, Mr. Jameson. Oh, there is so much work to do. Madame Stepanova groans in frustration.